In today's video, we are taking a look at the carbonation process, how it works, and finding out just what and what shouldn't be turned into a fizzy treat. Guys, you have seen both Grant and Nate make different sorts of carbonated treats over the years. You've seen Nate make carbonated fruits for summer, and you've seen Grant make carbonated ice cream. So today I want to take that, push that limit, and see what can be carbonated. Here's the basic idea. We are taking a variety of snacks to find out what can and cannot be carbonated and whether or not you should. To start out with, we're gonna go with some tried and true things. We're actually gonna try a cucumber and a bell pepper. Those are things that I'm pretty sure can be carbonated because they are a little bit more porous. They hold a lot of water in them. They should work, but the question here is, do we want them to? All right, to start out with, we have got a cucumber and a bell pepper. Technically, anything that is porous or liquid should be able to absorb the carbon dioxide from dry ice in a sealed container. Now, this isn't gonna be airtight because that wouldn't be safe, but it should still work. So that's why I'm going with a cucumber and a bell pepper. These both have a very high water content and are technically a porous sort of flesh. So the carbon dioxide should absorb very nicely. All right, to make fruits, vegetables, and literally anything else carbonated, it's a very simple process. All you really need is your carbonated snack of choice, a cooler, and some dry ice. We're gonna take our cooler and put a decent amount of dry ice at the bottom. All right, so we've got a lot of dry ice in there. Now I wanna put my cucumber and my bell pepper in there with the dry ice to kind of absorb that carbon dioxide. Here's the problem, I don't want them to freeze. So we have to make sure they're elevated above the dry ice so they don't have contact with it. Easiest way to do that, I'm gonna put my slices into a bowl and I'm gonna elevate them on top of a paper cup. And now for the really fun part, we're actually going to seal it with some cling wrap. Now, normally you do not seal anything with dry ice inside of it, but even with cling wrap on a cooler, it's not actually going to be airtight. Some of that air is still going to escape, so the carbon dioxide isn't gonna have a chance to build up and make it too pressurized. All it's gonna do is make sure that pressure is more or less staying internal without being dangerous. Perfect, let that sit for about an hour. We should have a fizzy cucumber and bell pepper. Now, while we are waiting for our bell pepper and our cucumber to hopefully get fizzy, I wanna try something else. Jello. It is possible to make a fizzy Jello if you mix it with a seltzer water when you're preparing it. However, I've noticed that a lot of the bubbles die out. So I wanna see if mixing it with dry ice in the cooling process will actually carbonate it as we go. Let's put this into a container that'll hopefully contain it a little better. All right, now normally you can add ice water to your Jello to help it set faster or just pop it in the fridge for a few hours. I'm just gonna add dry ice until it cools. Okay, I have dry ice Jello. Okay, so I got impatient with the Jello, so I'm gonna leave it over there, let it do its thing, and we're gonna try something even weirder. Guys, I wanna know if you can carbonate steak. Now, the reason that I'm using steak instead of any other meat like chicken is because steak tends to be a little bit more airy, I guess you could say. It's very porous, so I'm hoping that that means that the carbon dioxide is going to sink in a little bit easier, whereas if we used a cooked chicken breast, it's a lot denser, and I'm not sure if carbon dioxide could get through that. All right, so I've left this steak decently rare in the middle. I'm hoping that'll make it a little bit easier to absorb that CO2. So I'm gonna cut some really thin slices, and I'm gonna throw it in the cooler right beside our veggies. Let's see how our cucumber and our bell pepper turned out. Oh, they did just fall off of the cup when I moved them. I can't tell if they're gonna need more time. Let's see. They do not need more time. That is bizarre. That was a fizzy bell pepper. It's not bad, it's just very strange. Now, I have had carbonated watermelon before. Cucumber tastes similar to me. That is also really weird, but awesome. Okay, carbonated vegetables. I'm actually a fan, that's kind of cool. All right, I'm gonna toss these back in here with the steak. I wanna see if we can get these even fizzier and see if the steak's gonna work. I wanna add as much dry ice as possible without freezing the bottom of my bowls. just the tiniest bit of water to help it sublimate a little faster. All right, and I've cut these little strips of steak very thin in hopes of making this work. I'm gonna close it back up, seal it with saran wrap again, leave it for about an hour. All right, here's a sign that we know that it's working already. Now, this isn't just regular cling wrap, this is press and seal, and it's still being puffed up by the carbon dioxide, which is perfect, because it is escaping. This isn't airtight, so it's not dangerous, but it is definitely building up some pressure. So what that means is we're basically forcing the carbon dioxide into the flesh of the meat and into the flesh of our fruit and vegetable. We have a cucumber, a bell pepper, and a piece of steak being carbonated. Our Jello is still going. Let's make some ice cream. We're gonna be using Grant's recipe on how to make carbonated ice cream today. I wanna try it for myself. That's gonna be 2 cups of half and half a cup of powdered sugar, and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Yeah, it's gonna be very sweet ice cream. All right, now we just add dry ice and stir until it freezes. I may have added too much dry ice, but you know what? This is looking awesome. So if you decide to make this at home, just like Grant told you in the previous video, make sure you don't swallow any of these pieces of dry ice. That would not be good for you. But the ice cream on its own should be carbonated now. That's fun. That is really cool. I'm gonna try and drop it into some water and see if we can actually see that carbonation as it dissolves. Oh, you totally can. Just a little around the edges. We had some bubbles rising to the surface there. Oh, a little bit. You can see some of that CO2 rising to the surface just around the edges. My Jello is mostly solidified, but look at how many bubbles are captured right underneath. Now, I've seen bubbles rise to the surface in Jello and stay there as it solidifies, but these are massive bubbles. I've never seen that before. Okay, that just dissolved in my mouth. That was like Jello cotton candy, but a little bit fizzy. That's really cool. I am concerned because that didn't have as much fizz as I wanted it to, but that's just the bubble. So let's get down to the Jello itself. And you can see our Jello isn't completely set up in the middle. Just try around the edge here. But look at those bubbles. These aren't bubbles anymore. These are just divots in the surface of the Jello. Moment of truth. That's my favorite. Guys, you can make carbonated Jello just by adding dry ice to it. That is really, really fun. That is easy to do, and that tastes so good. That's fun. All right, guys, it's been a few minutes, and I have Josh with me. Josh, are you ready to try whatever I put in this cooler?
Not really.
You're gonna. If you had to guess for something that I may have tried to carbonate, what do you think it might be?
I don't really know what you've got going on here.
That's right, it's steak.
So, oh, sure, of course. That was my second guess.
Yeah, of course it was.
Oh.
All right, I'll try it first. How's that?
Okay.
Go on.
Not only is it carbonated, it's cold, I assume. That's weird.
Fizzy steak.
That's really weird.
But we made it happen.
Here, I'll try one of these. Are these?
That's a bell pepper.
Oh, that was for a little while. That's weird.
All right, so I think out of all of these, the cucumbers actually got the most carbonated. They have the highest water content. They're very porous, so it's easy for the carbonation to sink into them. So let's see. Yep. That's like fruit Pop Rocks.
That feels really weird. That's cool though. I'm getting a full meal here.
Can you carbonate most ordinary foods? Well, if they have a high water content, yes you can. Should you? Josh, should you?
No!
But you can, it's easy to do. You can do this at home. All you need is a cooler, some dry ice, and some cling wrap. Just make sure that your food never touches the dry ice itself and you're good to go. Guys, that's not all. We've always got more for you to see. This box up here at the top will take you to our latest video, and that box at the bottom is what YouTube thinks you should be watching next. Hit this bomb to subscribe to the club so you never miss out on the fun. Don't forget to ring that bell, and we'll see you in the next one. Talk to you then.